Good evening, everybody. Oh, you know what? I'm glad for the people who said good evening loudly. I am thankful for you. Yeah, thank you. Well, then it doesn't count if you didn't say it loud. Say it again. All right. Looks like the cold weather is keeping some people in, or the fact that we had homework and people didn't probably do it kept people in. I don't know which one it was, but we'll see. All right. It's good news for you tonight is that I'm not going to be talking the whole time, and it's great news for me because my cough is getting better, but it's still not there. There it is. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I hope it is done by this weekend. Here's some announcements, and then we'll do some prayer requests. Those wanting to help with Jamaica recovery, you can see Joseph or Tony or Laura Barker. There's a list out there with items to donate, or if you'd rather just give financially towards that, there are ways to do that as well.
16th. This Sunday will be the last.
This Sunday will be the last donation day before those get sent. Awesome. Also, for our clothing closet, which this coming Saturday is Bread of Life, and I think that food pantry is getting stocked. Y'all are incredibly helpful in that. But there is a small need for the clothing closet. So here are the things that are needed. Children's shoes. Let's see. Clothes age birth to 3 years old. Women's and men's jeans. And women's clothing sizes 2X and 3X. Those have gone quickly, and they are needed in the clothing room. So if you happen to have anything that fits that, or if you have anything that you are just wanting to donate, please feel free to do that. And just keep in mind that Saturday is Bread of Life. So if you want to bring it by tomorrow or Friday, that would be awesome. All right. I just got asked for an announcement that our winter quarter on Wednesday nights, we are needing some teachers in our children's ministry. And we'll just say this, if those don't get filled, then all I'm going to do is teach about how people should be teaching in the children's ministry until it gets filled. Yes, sir. All right. So, and I'm not saying this because of you. I'm just saying it because I got to clear this real quick. I'm sure you're good. Just keep in mind, everybody in our who helps with our kids or security has to go through our background check. Again, I'm not saying that about you, Mike. I know you're a stand-up guy. Background check, and there's an online thing. It's a child safety course that comes with a test after that. You cannot volunteer until you do both of those things. But if you have not done the background check, you can call Laura here at the office. She can get you started on that. And if you have cleared that, then you can talk to Allison Jenks. She is in charge of the children's ministry. She is getting ready to have her baby probably next week. So get with her soon. Tuesday, she's being induced. So call her Tuesday morning. She should be just fine. No? Oh, I didn't realize Mike was in there. Don't tell her I said that. Monday night. Tonight, find her tonight. Find her tonight if you want to volunteer. All right. Don't forget, men's and women's prayer breakfasts are tomorrow. Bread of Life is Saturday. This weekend is going to be an incredibly busy weekend, like big time busy weekend. Here in the building on Saturday morning, we have Bread of Life, and then immediately after that, we have something going on in the youth room, which is our Orange Blossoms Give Him Praise. So this is from 12 to 3. This is kids 3 years old up to 5th grade. And there's going to be a whole afternoon of just praise, and singing, and giving awesome praise to God. And Kellen is in charge of that. It's actually really good timing because if you have some little ones and you'd like to be at the funeral that is going to be here Saturday, then that will give you a place for the kids. And that funeral for Bill Bartow is here. Visitations at 12:30. Funeral service at 1:30. Graveside service for anyone who wants to go. It's not private. Anyone who wants to go. It's only about a 10-minute drive from here. And then Karen would love for as many people as possible to stick around for the meal that'll be at 3:30. So you're invited to all of it. Karen loves her church family, and her family that's coming, or sorry, Bill's family that will be here, it would be really, really good for them to see what an awesome church family looks like. So if you can be here on Saturday, please do that. And then Sunday is a wedding shower for Alyssa and Nick. Where'd they go? They're right over here. Alyssa and Nick. This is for couples. It's not just ladies show up. If Nick's got to go, we all got to go. Is that what it is? I don't know. But that is coming up. That is it's a come and go from 2 to 4 at the Kinkles home. So there's information about that, and they're registered online at Amazon. And again, you've got all the information there for that. We've got quite a few prayer requests going on. Margarita Bowman was admitted to Advent Health Waterman earlier this week. She had an infection in her leg, but she is at home now. Lily Pinkney had her spinal fusion procedure on Monday, and she's back home recovering. So she had already had rods all down her spine, both sides, and a couple of those screws had come loose on the lower part, and they went in with even bigger screws and made sure everything is tight so that she can be out of pain. So she is recovering right now. Cora Putnell, she's right here. Got some news that that tumor that she has is now half the size as what it used to be. All right. All right. And she's going to start some targeted radiation treatment in the next week or two. That is if it doesn't just disappear. That's what we're praying for. Just disappear. Yeah. I can't say too much, but I saw it happen just last week with somebody. We'll keep on praying, keep on praying, keep on praying. All right. Teresa Sullivan's going to have a heart cath procedure on the 19th at 2 o'clock. Deb Taylor's going to be down in Orlando for heart surgery on November the 20th. They're going to be replacing her pacemaker, I got to say this right, there we go, defibrillator, I know, and the leads into her heart. And so she's going to have quite a bit of recovery time for that. And good news, baby Juniper White is back home, out of the NICU and back out. You know what? I love when we clap for good praise reports. Awesome thing. Of course, grandparents Kevin and Dana are incredibly thankful for all the prayers and support at this time. And then just got an additional prayer request from Steve right here. Many of you know he and Wayne are from Vermont, and they have a good friend, or Steve has a good friend named Missy, who is only 35 years old, and he just got a phone call today, I think it was, yesterday, that Missy's mom found Missy, and she had passed away. They don't know what has happened yet, but you can imagine for Steve to be down here and his friend to be up there is a bit tough right now. So be in prayer for that family, please. All right, let's say a prayer, and then we're going to hop into our lesson for the night. Our Father in heaven, we love you so much. You are just incredible. We see you do amazing things like bring the sun up, make the sun go down. I know in certain parts of even our state that people are seeing your amazing creation in the northern lights. Just incredible. God, just to be able to be here in this room with so many different people with your unique creative fingerprints on them, just an incredible testament to what a great creator you are. And we all come here tonight, God, for one reason, and it's because we love you and we love each other. But we also come with all of our hurts, all of our struggles, all the things that we're concerned about. So God, I ask that you be with Missy and be with Steve as he is thinking about the loss of his friend. Be with Missy's mom as she's dealing with having to find her that way. And God, I just pray that you just bless their family in a mighty way. Give comfort where that is needed, and just help them through their grief. God, I ask that you be with Margarita and Lily as they are recovering right now. I pray, God, that that recovery can be complete, that they can move on into their life and just be able to give you glory in all the ways that they would love to do. God, I pray with and for Cora right now. We're so thankful that that cancerous tumor is now half the size that it was. And God, I know that you have power over that. I know that that tumor can go from half the size to gone in just an instant. So God, I pray that whether it be through your mighty, powerful will or the work of the doctors that will treat her, that this cancer that is in her body can be gone. That it can be something that is just another part of her testimony and her story. And when that's done, God, you'll get all glory. I know it for sure. We ask that you be with Teresa as she has a procedure coming up, be with Deb as she has a procedure coming up, and just be with all those who are working with them, specifically with their hearts. And I pray, God, that the placement of those devices and the heart cath that's being done can just be done with great precision. God, I ask that you continue to bless little Juniper and Carson and Kelly as they have their beautiful daughter at home now, and just pray that you bless their family so much. And be with Kevin and Dana as they are enjoying learning about being grandparents, and I know that they're an incredible blessing to Juniper, and God, I'm thankful they all get to be together. So God, we love you. Help us this weekend as we serve and praise and mourn all on the same day, and then we celebrate and worship the next day. It's a lot. But God, I know that you're a God who can handle our mourning. You're a God who can handle and loves our praise. And we're going to serve as if we're serving you. So God, I pray that all of it's blessed. And may every bit of time that we get to spend together be a time where we grow in unity. And may we be blessed as a church family because of it. I pray that you continue to be with Karen Bartow as she is grieving and thinking about Bill and with this service coming up on Saturday, and then looking at what life looks like after that. I just pray, God, that you continue to send her people from their family and extended family, but especially right here within her church family, to just be with her, to give that shoulder to cry on, to listen, and whenever she needs it, to just have some fun with her. So God, I thank you so much for the blessing of church family. And we pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. No coughing in here. Yeah. She's a sweetheart. Oh. Oh. Oh, no. She's too sweet. Yeah. Good. Yeah, I know she had a little bit of a scare last week, and I don't think she was eating necessarily. And she got some food in her and brought some strength up. And if you get a chance to go visit with Jane, because she may not remember who you are, but it'll be a blessing that you get to see her. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, not you. She'll know me, apparently. I don't know if that's good or bad. Did she say why she remembered me? No, just kidding. So go and visit Miss Jane. She's a good lady and would love some visits. And then while you're there, also, Wendy is in one of the rooms. She's still almost right across. Well, no, she was across from another lady. Miss, many of y'all got to meet Miss, oh goodness. Maybe I'm losing it. She was here today. It's not Miss Inez. It's, where's Bill Ryder? Bill, who'd you let in last week? Oh, okay, my goodness. Miss Edith. She's on the scooter. She wanted me to apologize to you all. She actually came to the building the day after, so last Thursday, to apologize. Edith is just somebody, she rides her scooter across parking lot here and goes to the Dollar General and then rides back. And so we kind of wait for her sometimes. She said, I'll never go in there. And she's got a whole bunch of reasons why. Somehow Bill Ryder got her into the building Wednesday. He's just that charming. And Bill didn't know this. I didn't know this. But she wanted me to apologize to you, to you guys because she had been drinking a lot. And we could not get her back to her apartment till about 10 o'clock that night. And she felt so terrible and actually brought up some conversations. Like when we finally got her back to her apartment, her cousin was there who lives with her, and she just started crying. And she said, I drink because I have so much I worry about, and I don't want to think about it anymore. And so she got to come back the next day and talk for a long, long time about all those things she worries about. And I'll tell you what, man, praying with Edith is an interesting thing because she will laugh at you right in the face of you praying as if the things that she's dealing with can never be fixed. But we know an awesome God. And so even when she was here today, we said, Edith, because now when she comes here, she'll make sure, she'll come in, she'll say, Kenny, I haven't been drinking. And she'll tell you this. She said, I cuss a lot. And she does. There are words that I don't think I've ever heard that have come out of Miss Edith's mouth. But right now, she's so like edited and filtered. And we just keep telling her, Edith, you're such a good person to talk to. You know, it's good to just hear you and see you and know you. So she'll be back. But when you see her, just say hey to her. I'm going to tell you a really important thing with her. And some of you experienced it last Wednesday. And I'm just going to tell you what she's expressed to me. She's very comfortable with certain people here. Bill is one of them. Myself and Laura, just because we spend some time with her. But she has grown up seeing a lot of history of Eustis. And she is very much, this is her words, she's afraid of all of you white people. And the reason is, and I feel for her, I hate this, but she's been treated very poorly in the past. And what I'm trying to assure her of is everybody here will love you. Everybody here will love you. So there's just some barriers that are there. And it's just one of those things, we got to think about people's past and what they've experienced and been through and just keep on showing love and keep on showing love and keep on showing love. Oh yeah, we see a lot of progress. I think it's very funny. Every time she sees my wife, she says, oh, I like your husband. Not like that. Not like that. Like, she knows that. You don't have to keep saying that. Yeah, yeah, nobody likes me like that. She likes Bill too, but not like that. You're safe. You're safe. Missy, did you have something you want to? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's what she said. She just couldn't ride it. Oh, it was working. We drove it back, but she was not all there. Yeah, it was. And we got to meet her cousin and got to pray with him. And he kept saying, these people love you. Who are these people? And so Rodney, we'll talk with Rodney too. Anybody who will give an ear to who Jesus is, we'll tell them all about it. So that's just, that's a story with no ending, at least not yet. But how cool would it be one day to see an Edith worshiping here with her family, with Mercedes, with Rodney, with and in a really weird way, over at Sunday Cool, her nephew works there, Carl, out in the warehouse, and so I was there yesterday, and he's like, "You've been talking to my Aunt Edith?" I was like, "Yeah," and she said, "You know what she said?" She told him, "Hey, can I have the pastor's phone number? I like it, not like that, not like that." and he said, "I'm not giving you that man's phone number," which whatever. But if you see her around, just make sure that you. There's a good chance she'll cuss you out if you say something. That's who she is right now, but it's not who she will be when she knows Jesus. Miss Linda?
She grabbed my shirt when I was going down the hall.
Yeah.
Hey, go get that man.
Go get that man?
You know that kitty man.
Yeah. She's fun. She is fun. And, sorry, the other person she is very much loves is Holly. Holly has gone over to her house late at night and ministered with her and helped with her. And so just, hey, everybody you see is somebody to love. But again, that's a story that doesn't have an ending yet. And one day we're gonna sit here and we're gonna tell stories about the ending of that story. And it's gonna be a beautiful thing because God's gonna do great things. Hey, Holly. Edith came today, just so you know. She went to the hospital today, Edith did, because she hurt her hand. It's me. Because when I was helping her back in her apartment, she was squeezing my hand so hard, so I hurt her. It works out that way. We're hoping no lawsuits come, but all right. So we've been talking about being a proud Christian, right? And I think I even have my shirt under this. Big Dog's got his under his sweater, but just what does it look like to be a Christian and be proud of it? Is anybody in here a proud Christian? Like you're glad you're a Christian? All right, good. That's a good thing. Now, here we go. Came prepared. I've got a drink right here. As it was pointed out to me last week, I had a water up there on Sunday and never took a sip of it. Sorry, Michelle. All right. So, yeah, you just remind me. I'm going to stand back here. All right. This is going to be the worst live stream to ever watch. All right. There we go. What does it look like to be a proud Christian? Now, obviously, it doesn't all mean how loud can you be. That's not what it means to be a proud Christian. Just who can be the loudest person, who can talk to more people, and who can be the most outgoing Christian that is there. That's not everybody's personality, is it? That might be a Luisi's personality. He loves to get out and talk and go and get kicked out of Walmarts and stuff like that. Does that really happen? It did. All right. And I think that's cool, depending on the reason why you got kicked out of Walmart. But like to be outward about your faith is a good thing. And not everybody is the walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, I'm so-and-so, let me tell you about Jesus," kind of person. All right. I do think all of us can at least be a person who says, "Hey, don't say Kenny, but like, hey, I'm Kenny. Is there anything I can pray for you about?" Like, that's a pretty easy question. Pretty easy question. But what if you're wearing something that says Proud Christian, which some of you will and some of you have, and somebody comes up to you and says, "Why?" Or "What does that mean?" Or, heaven forbid, somebody comes up and says, "I hate that. Why would you ever be a proud Christian?" Do you know how you'd respond? Do you know what you would say? Could you give a reason, 1 Peter, for the hope that you have within you? All right? And there's a word that's there before that giving the reason. It's, will you be prepared? Like, are you prepared right now with what you will say if somebody asks you why you have a faith in Jesus? A lot of times our mind goes to, can I prove Jesus? Can I prove the resurrection? Can I prove that the Bible's true? Can I bring up enough verses to convince somebody of something? And that's actually not what we're talking about. If you can do that, that is awesome. If you can't, you should be able to. All right? Like to be able to bring about the Bible and study the Bible, it's a great thing to do. But all we've been talking about recently is this. How did Jesus change your life? How did he change your life? Or how is he changing your life? And I know all of us can sit here and say, I wish there were some places in my life right now that he would be changing right now. And man, we're going to still offer those things up to him. And then later on, we'll tell the great stories of how God has been changing our lives. But reminder, I'll do this until we're done sharing. Reminder, there was a lady that met with Jesus at that well, and he told her everything that she had done. That's what she said, right? And when he had that encounter with her, told her about the husbands and all that kind of stuff, we look down at the bottom here, it says, so the woman left her water jar, went away into town, and said to the people, come see a man who told me all that I ever did. Can this be the Christ? Just one encounter, one conversation, one really cool thing that happened. And it says, so they, the people of the town, went out of the town, and then they were coming to him. Because she gave a big theological explanation of why Jesus is the Messiah, right? No, she just said, he knew this stuff about me. There's got to be something special about him. He did something in my life, so maybe you might want to check it out. And then later on, it says, many of the Samaritans from that town believed in him because of what? The woman's testimony. What's another word for testimony? It's a story, right? Just that woman's story. All right, a small snapshot of her life that she told. And so many of the Samaritans believed in him. He said, the testimony was, he told me all that I ever did. So when the Samaritans came to him, they asked him to stay with them, and he stayed there for 2 days, and many more believed because of his word. They said to the woman, it is no longer because of what you said that we believe, for we have heard for ourselves, and we know that this is indeed the Savior of the world. All right, that's pretty quick. That's like a 3-day thing. All right, a woman had an encounter. She told the story, so excited about her encounter with Jesus that she ran back to town and told the story. They came out and saw. Jesus spent 2 days with them, and then they heard the teachings, and now all of a sudden, their lives have been radically changed because one woman rushed into town saying, guess what happened? Guess what happened? Guess what happened? So the question is, if someone asks you about your faith, what are you going to tell them? All right, that was the homework that we've given. I had one guy, Aaron, was going to share tonight. He's having some dental issues tonight that he's got to go see a specialist for. So he is not going to be able to share tonight. I'm going to give him a chance when he gets back. He actually wrote his entire testimony out as if it were, he calls it a poem. It sounds more like a rap. It's actually pretty cool, but I'm going to give him some time to do that. It'll be a little bit different if you haven't experienced that kind of writing or anything like that, but it's actually really cool. He said it for me last week. But the homework was this. For anybody that was here, could you, in 1 to 3 minutes, just give a story, a testimony of how God has changed your life? It could be why you came to faith, because that story might relate to somebody who has not yet come to faith. It could be how he walked with you through a specific trial in your life, and that might be able to help somebody who's walking through that same trial. It might be how you were able to walk through and overcome a specific sin, because as we're dealing with people and meeting with people, they might be walking through a similar sin or struggling with the same sin that you might have dealt with in the past, and God has done, caused radical change in your life, and now you might be able to lead somebody in what radical change looks like in their own life, and they might believe they have a hope of overcoming because they can hear a story of you overcoming. All right, so I know this can be tricky, but did anyone come prepared with homework? If not, you're just going to have to stand up here and stare at me. I'm not going to say anything tonight. Anyone have something that they're willing to share? Oh, right here, and then I'll go back here. You have, do I need to time you? I'm just kidding. I got it. There's only one.
I wasn't brought up in the church. I wasn't baptized till 20 years ago. But there's one time, I've always felt the Lord there with me all my life. But I was having trouble. I had to put my aunt into a rehab facility, and they weren't treating her right. They weren't taking care of her. They weren't bathing her. She lost her false teeth. She lost her glasses. They wouldn't turn up. She had COPD. They wouldn't turn up her oxygen enough where she could breathe, and she would turn purple. Well, one night she was trying to get them to take her to the bathroom, and nobody would come. So she wound up moving herself into the bathroom, and it was a long area. I think there was like 6 or 8 beds in there. But she was so far out of it, she didn't think to lock the brake on the wheelchair. So she fell, and she was screaming on the floor that she needed help, she needed help. Well, of course, the money started to run out, so they wanted me to get her out of there. So they wanted me to take her home. But I couldn't take her home. We had steps and stuff, and I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to take care of her properly. And I was afraid with her COPD, adjusting the oxygen and stuff, I'd wind up killing her. So anyway, I told her, and I don't know that she understood, but I told her, I says, Aunt Ruby, I says, I'm not going to be here for a few days, but I'm not abandoning you. I was trying to find a place to take her, and my cousin and I looked and looked and looked, and we could not find a place. Well, I left that day, and I drove across the street into a parking lot, and just started bawling. I could not control myself. And I told the Lord, I go, I have to give it to you. You have to help me. I don't know what to do. I promised her I would take care of her, keep her safe. Well, I pulled out of the parking lot, and typically I went left and went down the main highway. But this time I turned right and went down this back street that I'd never been to. At the end of this back street, there was a nursing home. It had a big banner, and it stated, best nursing home in Colorado, and they had been awarded that. So I went in there, I talked to the director, I told her what had happened and all of that, and she said, bring her over here tomorrow, and she says, we have a bed. She goes, it's in the old part, but she says, as soon as the new part's done, she says, we'll put her over there. I said, okay. So when I brought her back over, she says, I'm so glad you told me about what all happened, because when I talked to that director, she started saying she was a screamer and she was this and that. She goes, no nursing home would have taken her if that director had told her that. So when I took her over, she wasn't aware of anything. She was dirty. They were supposed to bathe her. So I left her there, and that night they had a dinner for the family members. We came back, and she came to dinner. She had the twinkle back in her eyes. You know, she's all dressed up and stuff. And anyway, that's where she wound up dying, was in that facility. But they took such a good care of her. But I know that was all the Lord's. It was Him, and I knew it. He guided me there.
Awesome. And that story, real quick, obviously that can speak in so many different ways. It can speak to someone who is walking through the same thing, trying to find kind of that end-of-life care for someone. Like, hey, look, there's hope that's there. It can also speak to someone who's feeling completely overwhelmed with life, completely overwhelmed with something like Donna was feeling, where she found herself in that parking lot and just said, I can't do it. And she just surrendered that over to God, and provision happened fairly quickly. How great. So understand your story can impact more than just someone who is going through that specific situation, but you got to see the provision of God and feel it, and
they took such good care of her.
Yeah. So she got to end her life in dignity.
She felt it was her home.
That's awesome.
She never did move to the new part.
Yeah.
She wanted to stay where she was at. That was her home.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Seth, did you have one over here? You good? I'm just kidding. All right, I don't know if y'all have met Seth. We call him, what's your name? Big Dog.
Maybe. Hi, I'm Big Dog. Is that better? So if somebody asked me about my faith, the first thing I would tell them is I've never had so much hope in my life with so little to my name. And when I say that, coming from a place in my life where I chased the money, I chased the addictions, I've chased the women, I've chased everything that this world says to chase, and had so little joy, had so little hope. And then when I turned my life over to Christ, the joy came when everything else left. When I stopped chasing what the world wanted, I had so much hope, and I stopped caring for things. And when that happened, you realize that you're not in control. And when you're not in control, your life just goes that much better. And to have faith in something, some being, somebody that can take your life from meaningless to meaningful. That's what I would share with them about my faith. And then from there, just see where the Spirit would take that conversation.
I don't know. Oh, there we go. Did anyone else do any homework tonight? Oh, we got a couple over here. Okay. Miss Cassie. Again, if you don't share, you're going to have to just hear me share, and you don't want that. I think you've heard all my stories.
Bear with me, I'm nervous talking in front of people. But I grew up in a church my entire life, and I will say, I guess there's like a lot of comfort that comes involved with it. And I was baptized when I was a teenager, and I felt like, God has revealed himself to me even a lot after I was baptized. I've had to endure a lot of emotional trauma in my life. I'm not going to go into details about that. And I felt like during those very low moments in my life, I realized the raw beauty of God's love and the love found in the body of Christ. And I felt like over the years, even today as a young adult, just helping me to realize the potential of God's love, and I never stopped learning about it. And sorry, my mind goes blank. But yeah, there were just a lot of times where I had to learn how to authenticate my faith. In other words, my faith doesn't come from my background of growing up in the church. I've had to endure a lot of hardships and times where I felt like it's just me and God and no one else, and I had to make a choice. Am I going to be complacent and lukewarm, or am I going to willfully get out of my comfort zone and just surrender to God? Mm-hmm. And so that's just kind of the gist of what I have to say.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome.
I have one too.
Yeah, one sec, Gabby, real quick, because I want to talk about Cassie's for a second here. Hold on to that microphone now. One thing I love about there was a word you used, Cassie, is authenticate. You had to authenticate your faith. I want to show you, this is one of those things, you might think that you might only have a testimony if you have this, crazy radical story of conversion, but how many people grew up going to church, got out on their own, and then kind of realized that my parents had faith, and they told me I had faith, and now, wait a minute, I'm on my own, I'm a grown-up, and I'm going to walk through that process. Man, a lot of people right now are doing something they call deconstructing, which is trying to tear down faith when they get out of their homes. But Cassie will be able to tell a story of, no, when I got to explore what faith looks like, I didn't tear down faith. We just simply, we authenticated faith. We learned to have a faith that was our own and not just the faith of mom and dad, not just the faith of the church I grew up at. But that testimony on its own can reach and teach so many people, because that's and we have teenagers that sit over here every single Sunday that will go out on their own. And many of them are going to walk through that like, okay, is this my faith? Is this my parents' faith? And to be able to have somebody that can say, hey, I just went through that. Let me show you how my faith was authenticated, could be a really powerful testimony. So keep on sharing that. Like that can be very powerful. Gabby?
All right, so, sorry, it's a little loud. Like, when I first met Cassie, the love of God shined right through her. And I could tell because, like, we were roommates at SunQuest. And I just remember me and her going up together and giving our problems to God. Because, like, recently, a few years ago, I was diagnosed with a complex regional pain syndrome. And when I found out, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it to God, because I don't need to live my life in chronic illness, because my life's not about that. My life is about Christ, because Christ is important. And I want the younger generation to know that.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Gabby. I don't know who in the world will put you two in the same room together at SunQuest, but I'm glad they did. Was it Scott? Huh? Kellen, maybe. I'm so glad you have each other. I got to watch that at camp, kind of their friendship, and I'm so glad it's still here, still there. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else? Leo is going to take a shot. I've heard you. Give it to him, Leo. Give it to him.
I got to turn around.
Do you want to stand? You want to lean on this? Okay.
You know, I was with Kenny one day, and I said, Kenny, I can't quote scriptures and so forth. And so I don't know what I'd say. You know, somebody asked me. He looked at me and got a big grin on his face and said, Leo, just tell him your stories. And I could do that. I don't know if anyone here has a law enforcement background. Anybody ex-law enforcement? You learn how to pray real early when you put on a badge. And it started with me back when I was very young. I was in the military, and long story short, I ended up being an AWOL investigator. Actually, I was a marshal investigator. And I got to go to the mountains of Virginia, to the coal mining towns where they don't like strangers. And I had to find those boys that were AWOL. I had to bring them back. So, I mean, I had several stories tied to that. So I did a lot of praying. I've told the story about the boat that blew up, and I was in it. And the only thing left of a 57-foot Hatteras was the engines. Several people that are here have seen my scrapbook, and the engines are sitting over on the sand. And that was a 57-foot boat that blew up. We had to just put 103 gallons of fuel on it. So I did a lot of praying. I was out in the middle of the channel. So there's been a lot of praying in my life. But let me tell you the story about my biggest prayer, if I may. At our home up there, and I had gone back down here for a meeting. And I was on the way home. I was going through Atlanta Airport, and I'm sure a lot of people's been through Atlanta Airport. It's not your favorite place to be. I disembarked the plane and was walking through the terminal. My phone rang. I answered my phone. It was my son, my youngest son. He said, Dad, I need you to be strong. I said, what are you talking about? And I had to get people all around me. I said, you just wait a minute. And I found me a corner that I talked to my son. He said, Dad, I need you to be strong. I said, what's up, Randy? He said, Dad, Mom has cancer. Now, that was tough. Airport, 140 miles from my home. in the mountains. And I had to drive. Do you have any idea how much praying you can do in 140 miles? I visualized, we got married. We've been together since we were like 16 years old, Linda and I. And we've been married 59 years. So I think Kenny taught me a lot that, and I needed to get, Kenny, I've got to get me a shirt. Because I want somebody to ask me about being a Christian. I think I can tell them my stories, and I got a whole lot more, but I can tell them my stories as to what God has meant to me. Linda has been in mission, a remission, I'll get it out in a minute. Linda's been in remission for 18 years. But let me tell you the story. When they found her cancer, she was already stage 4. And they found that from a mammogram. So ladies, be sure you get your mammogram. They felt a little something, and our doctor said, well, you can get a biopsy. So they did. And it turned out to be stage 4. And folks, that was 18 years ago. And she said it right here. You tell me God didn't play a big, big part in that. No one else could have done that. I wanted to share that with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. I know Leo could share story after story with you, and he would love to, but a lot of unique stories. Not everyone's going to say, I know what it's like to feel like getting blown up in a boat. Right? That's right. And yeah, but the underlying themes of that, of something catastrophic happening that is outside of your control, a story like what Leo is able to tell can bring somebody to a story.
I guess I'll do the one where he saved my life.
All right.
Back in 2014, I was diagnosed with malnutrition of protein. So I had to go into the hospital, get a PICC line in to have feeding. Then I had a reaction to it, so they had to take it out. And then I had to go get iron infusions, and I fell and broke my shoulder. And then I just wasn't getting any better, and my daughter threatened me, if you don't go to the hospital, I'm carrying you there. So she did. I got there, went right in. I was really kind of shocked. Well, found out I had AFib. I had a mass in my heart and a lot of other things. I was low on blood. Long story short, I left our smaller hospital and went to Johns Hopkins, and I had a bleeding ulcer, a tumor, a mass in my lung, a mass in my leg, the mass in my heart, and then I ended up with 5 endoscopies to stop the bleeding from the ulcer. Ended up with 20 blood transfusions, and they had to bring in a special machine. Only 2 doctors could run it to bring the mass out. But the lung, they gave me, stuff to make the lung go away, the lung tumor, and it did. And the mass in my heart was sucked out. That went away. They reconstructed my gastric bypass, and after that, all my numbers came up. John had called my sister to come because he didn't think I was going to live, and I kept trying to tell him, God has it. He has it. I'll be fine. And I was, that was 2014. Now it's 2025. I have nothing with that. I have other issues, but I'm okay. But I just knew he had me because he had more plans for me. To share my story, even though you may be on deathbed, you pray a lot, and he comes through for you. He's always there.
Scott, can she do it in 2 minutes?
Well, I have a lot of stories, but I'm not going to do it in 2 minutes.
Wait,
I was one of those people, I was not raised in the church, and I had a lot of fun in the world. I fit in really well. And when I first heard the truth, I was just in awe. And so, knowledge-wise, I knew so much, and I knew what I needed to do. So when I was baptized, I just expected, I'd heard about this Holy Spirit and this joy. I expected to come up out of that water, and I was going to be a Paul. I was going to step across that line, and, well, it didn't happen that way. I was not good at this at all. But I did a lot of constantly trying to fit in, trying to be this spiritual person, trying to be acceptable. And I realized that, I got to the point, I've never had a great self-concept. I know the things I can do, and I do those well, but there aren't a lot of them. But I made a comment one time that I just didn't understand why God loved me, because if I were God, I wouldn't love me. And somebody told me how prideful that was, that God promised everybody, made all these promises, but I was the exception to God's rule. And it was so convicting, because you don't see that as pride when you don't have a good self-concept. You just think, but I'm not God. And when I realized who God was and what he had done and what he continues to do, I realized it's nothing that I do. It's all about what he has done and will continue to do. And it just was so convicting that he was so worthy of the worship. And like I told you, there's none like him. And that's what I'd like to put on the back of my shirt is, look at my lineage. There's none like him. And that's what the pride, what you can be proud about.
thank you for sharing. Just to close out, one thing, kind of to piggyback off of Sharon's story and bringing back in the woman at the well. Sometimes and oftentimes our stories come from some things that are not necessarily fun to talk about that God did. But look what God did. Even though this, God did this, God did this. And I don't always love everything that happened, but the opportunity to talk about Jesus because of those things can be so incredibly powerful. Like, I don't like that our family walked through divorce, but I love what God did when he took that mess and brought two families together and brought out something really, really beautiful that if that didn't happen, I don't know if I would have ever obeyed the gospel. I don't like that I struggled with very specific addictive sin for years and years and years, but I love that God has healed me of it, and I love that I get to talk to other people about that thing. I don't know. Sorry, I don't have time to share that now. Bell rang. But I don't like a whole lot about who I used to be. I don't like a whole lot about things that have happened in the past. And sometimes I don't like a whole lot about what we're walking through right now in certain situations. But just watch God. Just watch God. Sometimes the things you don't want to talk about from the past are the things that you probably should be talking about because they're the things that other people are walking through or have walked through so that you can be ministered to, and at some point you can minister to someone else. I'm sure if Sharon was sitting with a group of people that she didn't even know, and they start talking about things of the world, she'd be able to pop up and say, yeah, I know that. I know that. I'm not proud of that, but I'm proud of what God has done with it. And so, yeah, we all have failures, and we all have things that we've messed up on and things that have gone wrong in this life. But we've got to get to this place where we can finally start saying, but look at God. I do know there are some people in this room right now who are still walking in the middle of a lot of that. All right? And you know this. I don't have to tell you this. God can do something beautiful with everything that's going on in your lives. Right? Sometimes it's in those moments that you find someone, it's helpful to find someone else who's walked through that and let them walk with you right now so that you can see what God has done and you can have a hope for what God can do so that at some point you can walk with somebody else. All right? We're going to share a couple more next week just because I've had people who ask me, hey, can I share? And they're not here right now, but they're going to share. I'll share a couple things, and we'll move on from this into a whole lot more of proud Christian stuff. All right? Thank you all for sharing and for listening. And my prayer is this: if somebody told a story tonight about their faith or what God has done, that maybe it can even minister in this room tonight. All right? Love you guys so much. Hope to see you Saturday and Sunday.